Welcome to the Port vs. Port series, taking an objective look at the original version and ports to find you the best playable experience for you. While this series attempts its best to provide the most accurate objective facts possible, keep in mind the end decision of which version works is by you, what consoles and specific needs you require. With Soulcalibur 6 coming on the horizon, what better way to celebrate Soulcalibur II than with a port vs. port comparison and see which version works for you. Soulcalibur II is one of the best fighting games in the franchise, known to provide a wonderful myriad of characters to fight against, a very solid combat system filled with tension, different weapons to choose from, and even some gag moments the developers decided to add along. Soulcalibur has proven to take itself as serious or as little as possible. Main appeal to the second entry was the inclusion of playable guest characters, which each version of the title bringing in exclusive fighters, which we'll get into later. Finally, providing a solid and robust single-player experience named Weapon Master gives newcomers and veterans a great chance to explore the lore and mechanics of the game, all the while practicing with their main character. But the question is, which version is the one you need to get? We'll get into each version as well as in-depth impressions and fighting game mechanic differences, if any are present. All three versions, the Gamecube, Xbox, and PlayStation 2 versions were released on the same day on August 27, 2003 in North America. The title was a step up from the arcade version in contrast to the console version, providing more characters and modes. Combine this with a very steady frame rate, boasting widescreen support and even 720p at its fullest capabilities, Soulcalibur II became a powerhouse and most would agree is the pinnacle of what the franchise has to offer. The best in gameplay, features, and characters, all in a beautiful little package which feels ahead of its time even in 2003. The console versions improve on everything the Dreamcast version introduced. In its own right, the Dreamcast was able to provide a solid 60 frames per second and 480p in VGA, a very impressive feat at the time. Since this is the kind of fidelity which is still a new concept to grasp on console, with a select amount of titles only able to cap that. Models were very crisp, clean, and animated quite well, with several characters who were very faithful to the martial arts they utilized. The second entry continues a trend on 480p at 60 frames per second, a higher polygon count, and richer animations. With the new generation of consoles to play with, developers were able to add an incredible amount of detail to their armor and weapons, as evident in Nightmare's Soul Edge and Blinking Eye. Both the PlayStation 2 and GameCube output at 480p and widescreen, but the Xbox is a very special case, outputting at 720p. A very huge utilization, as HD gaming wasn't made public for consoles until the release of the Xbox 360 in late 2005. The Xbox version did come at a cost with no widescreen included. This was a very small price to pay, sacrificing field of vision with improved textures and overall resolution. Compressed sound quality was a thing of the past, and Soulcalibur II was the first to include Dolby Digital 5.1 surround sound on all consoles. The clash of weapons erupted on the screen with destructive power, while the music simmered down the nerves of players with gentle tension. Soulcalibur II proved it was a console that can deliver both a visual experience and a marvel to hear in 2003. Dual audio was still a very new concept at the time as well, but Soulcalibur II was able to introduce this to the franchise. While the Dreamcast title defaulted to only Japanese audio, 2 added both audio for players across all versions of that generation. The only version that does not have this feature is the HD release, which only defaulted English audio. Yet again, another impressive feat for the console in 2003. Being the second entry means the developers were able to add several new mechanics, modes, and content to the title. To begin with the mechanics, our guest Ramiro will be helping us out depict some very noticeable changes in mechanics, the first being Guard Impact. Guard Impact works as a reversal, where you guard at the right second, giving you an opportunity to counterattack. Bringing all of your might into one ferocious attack, the Soul Charge allows you to power up any one of your attacks from level 1 to 3, each doing its own amount of damage. Moving on to modes, the second player experience of Weapon Master allows the player to gear up and venture to different parts of the world in story mode. Although not in any of the console versions, it is incredibly important to note the arcade version does include its own exclusive World Conquest mode. While I do not have any footage, it allows the player to fight a one-on-one 8 CPU team against previous arcade players who have fought against them. The mode was very inventive and unique, fitting to the style of an arcade machine, but unfortunately was not brought to any home console version. A shame too, as this would have been an incredible addition for players to fight against their friends' ghosts in this type of mode. So unfortunately, I'm not really well versed when it comes to fighting games and their mechanics, but I brought in my good homie Ramiro. He's actually been in the FGC community for a long time for many different games, so
yeah.
Tell him who you are.
Hello, name's Ramiro Duran, but some people know me as Babs, B-A-B-S. I've been kind of in and out of it for a bit, but ever since Street Fighter V came out, I've always been aware of what's going on, who the top players are, and just any new mechanics or any new tricks that people might come up with.
What are you versed in when it comes into Soulcalibur II, actually?
Well, I played this quite a lot when it was on the Gamecube, and we're playing the PS2 version right now, of course. And what was interesting was, you know, from going from Soulcalibur 1 to 2, they brought a couple new mechanics, and things became faster paced in terms of the 8-gate run, how it, basically they incorporated, you know, like it was the same with number 1, that it had like Tekken kind of mechanics that were introduced like with number 3 and tag. It's not just going back and forth, but you can walk around the character.
Yeah, that's right, the whole three-dimensional aspect of it.
So one final thing that this game introduced that others have now always had was a clash system that, let's say both people on the same frame did a vertical attack or a horizontal attack, it would clash, no one would get damaged, and you'd both be pushed back.
It would cancel out.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing that a lot, actually.
So while the first one was just a Dreamcast exclusive, this one was multi-platform. They released it on the PS2, the GameCube, and the Xbox. Each having their own specific special characters that kind of based on franchises that were exclusive to the system. And, you know, the one we're playing right now, PS2, of course, has a Tekken character, Heihachi Mishi.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to start out, guys. We're going to actually start out playing the PS2, then we'll move on to GameCube, and then go into Xbox. Since I'm not versed into fighting games and mechanics, he's going to actually give us the little things and give us a little bit of insight. So let's start getting on to the PS2 version. Alright, so let's start with the PS2. Who are you going to pick? Nightmare, okay. So any little things that you can point out.
So we got our horizontal, we got our vertical, and then we got our melee.
Okay, cool. Oh, that was good. Okay. Alright, so we'll start match 2. Let's try a different set of characters. Just to get a different feel. Get some poking in there. Oh, that was good. That was very good.
That's a very old school Heihachi move from the Tekken days.
So now that we've played 2 rounds of the PS2 version, what do you think so far in terms of fighting mechanics specifically for the PS2?
One thing that I always loved about the PS2 was that the controller was so good. It was so balanced that pressing the buttons just felt natural. Since it didn't have wireless capabilities, it was like, okay, they have everything wired, so they don't have to put as much components in the controller. So it just felt
No, you're right on that. Anything else in terms of character animations, frame data, anything that you've noticed, maybe?
I mean, it's really hard to tell because, you know, Namco did a really good job with these ports where there wasn't really any like far-flung difference with some of these characters. The only thing that's going to make a difference is the fact that if they had tournaments for this game, I use Spawn, I use Link, I use Heihachi, it's like,
you can't bring that specific main into the tourney.
It's like they have to have multiple different versions of the game in order for you to use that character, unless that character, of course, was banned due to them being too good of a character.
So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go onto the GameCube version, and we're gonna do the same thing, analyze that version, and see how it compares to the PS2, and then we'll get back to you.
Yes. Boo boo ba ba boo ba da boo.
So now we're gonna start moving on to the GameCube version. This is, of course, the one that most people have played the most. But so any little frame differences or anything that you see notably, you know.
It's gonna be really hard, but it does look a tad bit cleaner due to the progressive scan.
Yeah, that's actually very true.
Affords.
Let us begin. Oh, wow. All right, let's go for our second match. Let's see.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Dude, you're really good with Cervantes, actually. Oh, wow. That was pretty good. Shit, just right in the nick of it, too. I got lucky. So 2 matches on the GameCube version. What do you think in terms of frame data, the way it plays, in difference to the PS2?
Well, one thing that's kind of strange that I forgot about is that even though I really do like the PS2 controller, there's something about the GameCube controller, even though it's very strangely placed, controller. It actually allows for like quicker reaction times almost. It just feels really fast. Like the fact that you have a very small block button and a really fat horizontal button, like for some reason that it works. And of course you have the C stick, which was basically shortcuts, because I noticed as Keelig it would do multi-button combinations by pressing either direction. Like when you look at this game, you realize that all those movements, they're motion captured by actual.
But it makes sense though. There's no way.
Users.
There's no way that they could animate this fully without having some kind of form of capture. So if that's the case, we'll go into the Xbox version. That's the last version. So let's see how that one is gonna end up.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna actually play on the Xbox version. As you can see, this is the most crisp version you'll actually play.
I'm pleasantly surprised at how good this looks.
This looks incredible.
Just
Suffer.
I'm sensing that it might be like a frame or two off, because
really?
they seem like slightly slower in terms of response times. But it makes sense because whenever you go to HD on a game that, you know, kind of more standard definition, you have these problems.
So the conversion when you bring that up is
especially if it's not modified for that purpose.
But that's really interesting that you noticed that like right off the spot too.
It became apparent, especially the biggest thing is the second I would do a quick recovery, it was like half a second of delay, or not really half a second, but it was enough that I noticed, I didn't immediately get up after that. I can already see differences. Considering
the versions that we played so far, Xbox, PS2, GameCube, which one do you think works for you? Like as an FGC player and anything else, how do you feel about playing them in general?
I would say, it's funny, if the Xbox version didn't have the slight input delay, it would be the version. But in terms of comfort, it would have to be GameCube, oddly enough. Even though the PS2 controller I still heavily enjoy for these types of games. Yeah, this one is, the Xbox version is very conflicting, because if I was playing this back in the day and had like an HD TV and playing this, it would have been like, I wouldn't even have cared of the slight input delay. It would have just been, wow, this game looks so much better in HD.
Let me ask you this, as someone who has played FGC, for the 3 guest characters, do you feel like they're just gimmicky add-ons, or like they were pretty well tangibly made characters?
The characters, especially characters like Link, were made with such love and care. The fact that they incorporated all the different elements of the games into those characters. With Spawn, what they had to go off of was the fact that, he's technically a soldier of hell.
And just to let you guys know too, who are watching, I am playing this on a 360. This is not the original Xbox. Do you think that can be a reason why of the frame dip?
Because certain games weren't that well optimized for.
Okay.
Whenever they would do the emulation, there were certain times where like sounds weren't coming in correctly. Other things would glitch up, or even certain games you couldn't really complete them.
Oh my, that was
actually good. Was it like vertical kick. Like falling off a gorge.
I guess it is safe to say maybe the original Xbox won't have the frame dip, but there might be other problems that will occur as you keep playing, just because of that upscaling.
The hardware was fully utilized. It made for some kind of outstanding games for its time. It had a lot more power than people really kind of give it credit for.
Alright, so I guess to put it plain and simply, the GameCube seems like the best version in terms of frame data and how solid it is, and probably the Xbox.
Yeah, it just
feels...
has
those little frames that might teeter up. There's not that much optimization.
Yeah, it's being emulated, so it's not like it's running directly from the hardware itself. In general, in terms of like fighting games, you don't normally think, oh, GameCube. Besides Smash Brothers, you don't really think like, oh, it's the console to use. But then the Soulcalibur, even though the PS2 has that terrific controller, the GameCube controller somehow makes the game feel incredibly fast. I've never gone through 3 versions of the same game and just seeing the little intricacies, just all the
The reason that I wanted to do this very specifically, in different other games you can analyze them a lot separately. With fighting games, I do not know how to like tell different frames. I'm not versed in it at all. So that's why I wanted to ask someone to help me out analyzing the 3 consoles. Thank you guys so much for actually watching the video. I really do appreciate it. This has been a little bit different of a port versus port. I wanted to do it this way specifically just because it's a fighting game, and this is, I feel, the best way to analyze it. Where can they follow you actually? Like any social media you want people to follow you in, just in case?
Well, I mean, on Instagram, I am Baberific Babs.
Yeah. I'll put a link down below so you guys can actually follow him.
I don't post too much fighting game stuff, but whenever I go to anything FGC related, it's definitely a lot of interesting people. The days of you having to really know people or know when things are happening are over, because just the FGC in general has so much diversity, and it's been trying really hard to open up to everyone. The second you give people the opportunity and the space, they will definitely want to do it, because there's something almost, you could say, primal about fighting games.
Basically what it comes down to, it's competition and the drive to be the best that you can be, but also helping people improve, not only them but as well as yourself. That's something that no, actually it is. It's a whole master apprentice kind of thing.
Yep, they still have them these days in this game.
Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. I'll check you guys for the next video, and take care, all right?